I think he himself, and you see from his Twitter feed and how he responds to the protesters, even that is shifting. So I think that he and his policies, we're going to find out whether what he talked about in the campaign trail was sort of an opening bid on a bargaining table, or whether those were hard and fast. And I think as much as we know about Donald Trump, he is a deal maker, and he wants to make deals. And so you can see his rhetoric's beginning to shift now on the wall and on immigration.
So Andre, we all heard you on the softening of these stances that he has that worries minorities. But then on the other hand, Steve Bannon, his chief strategist.
Exactly.
White nationalists embrace this man. He runs Breitbart that had headlines like, let me just pull one up. It featured headlines like Bill Kristol, Republican spoiler, renegade Jew. So I think that when minority groups look at Steve Bannon as Trump's chief strategist, right, and look at the softening of the rhetoric, they're really confused.
Well, a couple points here. Number one, when Obama got elected, I didn't feel the best, and he told me elections had consequences. So he was a little more stern than our president-elect. But when I endorsed Donald Trump back in February, I thought he could win. You said he didn't think he could win. I don't think he took all this time off from work to go run to be second place. He's not a second-place guy. And for the last 40 years, he's brought people together as a businessman.
So
black, white, minorities, people of all different genders, and he's made things work. And as a businessman, he's going to make the presidency work, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents in the history of this country.
How does Steve Bannon make a presidency work when we're in the midst of this great divide in America, and we are, and you can see that minority groups are afraid? How does that unite the country?
Steve Bannon has a business. He has a certain demographic customer, and he works with that customer. And so all of us can find ways to pick apart anybody. You can find ways to pick me apart. You can beat me down. But all of us have great qualities, too. And Steve Bannon has some great qualities. I think he's part of the reason Donald Trump got elected. He got him on message, and he drove that message home.
And I don't mean to keep interrupting, but I'm just trying to understand. So an African-American person might say, you know what? Steve Bannon has embraced white nationalists. That kind of cancels out all the good stuff that's out there about Steve Bannon. What, I mean, do they have a point?
Again, we can all find things we disagree with people on, but I think you've seen this administration. I don't see anything you can criticize the last week about Donald Trump. He has done everything to come together, to start the healing, to move forward, and I think it's very progressive, and people ought to be excited about that he hasn't taken a hard tone. In fact, he's actually softened his tone. He's met with Obama. They spoke very kindly of each other. Looks like the transition will be very fluid. And so this is an exciting time for all America, whether you supported Donald Trump or not.
Andre, the problem is I think what you can point to that cancels out a lot of that is the hiring of Steve Bannon. And as much as you want to give him sort of an equivalency with, you know, anybody else, everybody, and you're right, everybody has faults and everybody has great points. Steve Bannon is known as a leader of the alt-right, and that is not a criticism coming from other people. That is something that he has said himself. And so that scares African Americans.
Well, at this point in time,
Latinos,
the people of America don't care about alt-right.
That scares a lot of minorities who have been insulted, not just by Steve Bannon, but from the president-elect himself. So the president-elect himself is going to have to do a hell of a lot better than just the nice words that he has put forward, especially when he has hired Steve Bannon to be his whisperer in the White House.
And I just want to get this last point in before I go.